I am your host, Blake. This is actually Painter's Lunch. It's not Painter's Breakfast. I said that wrong. I have a lot on my mind, like most people living in America right now. My lunch, bagels and lox. I've been wanting to have this for a little while. I'm not near any type of bagel shop anymore, so I kind of had to make my own. Yeah, about it. I am doing the mushroom coffee rise that is online that everybody talks about. It's actually not that bad. I've been doing it for a while now. I feel a lot better as far as like my diabetes goes. It's been lowering my blood sugar quite a bit actually. So that is nice. Um, how do we start this? You know, how do we start this? How do we talk about something that is devastating for so many people? You know, so for all my international fans, the presidential election happened, um, and a large portion of America decided to vote Donald Trump in a second term. This will allow him to not be prosecuted for any of the things that he's already on trial, that he's already supposed to be on trial for. Project 2025 is this really racist, homophobic, just awful thing that he wants to put into motion, and shockingly, um, a majority of Americans, not particularly black Americans or brown Americans, mostly white Americans, via the numbers that have come out, overwhelmingly voted him in. The population, the way America is kind of set up, is a lot of people are minorities, and they themselves would not have been able to get that election going, get that win for Donald Trump. Um, but they did, and so we are approaching a second term of what is easily, comparably, a shit show. I'm nervous. I'm a little worried because nothing about it seems good. I'm in the process of moving. I'm packing up things with my wife. We're sorting things to kind of get rid of stuff and keep things. We're moving into a much smaller place. So that's kind of mostly where I am right now. I I'm really blown away by the election in a lot of ways. I don't know. I am not completely surprised, but I am pretty disappointed. I can't believe he won the popular vote. Like that to me is probably the most shocking thing about this whole thing. And I'm not gonna blame people who didn't vote. I'm only gonna blame the people who voted for him. Because ultimately that's why he is where he is right now. But like I said, to my international fans, I want you to realize in fullest extent that this is not a unanimous decision. A large portion, not the largest portion, but a large portion of Americans, or voting Americans, are not happy and did not want Trump to be president again. But he is going to be president again. Elections are elections. People show up, they vote, and we just kind of have to live through 4 years, which hopefully we will do. don't know. It's so easy to like see all the faults and blame other people for this horrible person uh, getting to be president again. I'm generally shocked. He's such a vile and disgusting human being that I would never have thought so many people would have run to him a second term. But they did, so. Now, I am much older than a lot of my base here. I'm 42. I'm about to be 43. Thank you. I do look young. I appreciate it. Um, and so I remember when I was in college and George Bush won his first term, George W. Bush. And it was decided via judges or Congress. I can't remember. And that's how he became president. And people didn't think it was a big deal. They really didn't. Like, some of us were very upset about it. A lot of people didn't think it was a big deal. But then, when you start losing all your college aid and your loans are extremely high interest rates, you suddenly realize, like, this directly affects me. And it's typically because they have some type of idea about how people need to earn their education. But I have to be honest with you. I have worked all types of jobs throughout my life. I've been a car mechanic, a bike mechanic, a fry cook, a line cook, a host, a bookseller, like a librarian. I've been a camp counselor, a swim coach, a lifeguard, a photographer, a developer for a major studio. I've been a surfer. I've been an assistant to a surfing company on setup. There's so many other jobs that I've done throughout my life that were just, I've worked at grocery stores. I've been managers of many different types of things. And I can tell you for a fact, when you work long enough, you start to kind of see the difference in the problems that you face. Most people forget that you had to pay taxes on those stimulus checks that they sent you. You had to pay them at the end of the year. It's kind of a little thing that people forgot about. It was not free money. And I think people have this weird idea that, like, that's coming back around. This go. And I don't see that happening. Mind you, some huge catastrophe, which is possible. He's not a particularly focused or skilled individual, so I could see that. I mean, I daydream about getting on a flight, going back to Trinidad, and just being done with all of it. But I'm an American citizen, and I would still have to pay taxes to America, even if I lived somewhere else. So it's not particularly worth it. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where, on a survival aspect, it makes perfect sense. People say that every time, like, someone horrible gets elected, they go, "I'm gonna leave this country. I'm gonna go somewhere else," and they say that. But in actuality, like, it's much more difficult than people make it sound. Like, I'm gonna go to Canada, and it's like, well, you have to get a visa. Getting a visa is not as simple as people like to think. I don't know how to break this to you. A lot of countries not very fond of Americans. We have a lot of people who go to visit other countries and are complete assholes. So they've kind of ruined it for the rest of you. Before you even get there, you're dealing with that type of whole aspect. I was looking at this documentary about artists. We're gonna go into the art stuff because I've said what I'm gonna say about that. I was going into this documentary about Lee Holcomb. Lee Holcomb was the wife of Jackson Pollock. If you don't know who Jackson Pollock is, you got to Google that. She was incredible as a painter. She surpassed a lot of the skills that like he had demons for. For those who don't know, he was killed one day drunk driving, and it killed him. He rolled a car. He was an alcoholic. He rolled a car, and he died. And she was left as a widow. He was cheating on her, and it's kind of rough. You know, it's kind of rough. But she brushed herself off, and then she became like this really prolific painter. A lot of abstract work, a lot of like surrealist abstract, which is really kind of strange. It's like it's one of those things where like you look at it and you see it, and I'm gonna pull it up so you can see because I think it's more interesting if I show it to you. Not Lee Harvey Oswald. Jackson. I can't spell her name. What is her actual spelling of her name? I know this isn't it. Lee Krasner. I'm sorry, not Lee Hope. Lee Krasner. Lee Krasner. So this was Lee Krasner. And she was born in New York. We're not going to go into all these things. I just need to know how to spell her name. Lee Krasner. And she was just this really amazing painter. And I want to show you her work. I feel like a lot of spouses of artists sometimes get like lost in the minutia. So this is the type of work that Lee Krasner did. Very powerful, very amazing. And yeah, she just brought it, you know? She brought this incredible skill and focus. And she is kind of the rocky story of artists in a lot of ways. Like she got beat up, she lost a lot, she was kind of an underdog, and then she just kept making art through all the adversity. And that kind of plays into now. Like we're in a sad time, and it's probably going to be a sad time for at least 4 years. At least 4 years. I worry in a lot of ways, like a lot of people, that jackass is going to try to prolong his presidency. I don't think he's going to live that long, though. I think he's just very old and sickly. I don't think he'll make it that far. But I guess we'll see. We're at that stage of find out. The American people have fucked around, and now they're going to find out. But she's a great example of like through diversity, through adversity, through the diversity of even being like a woman in painting in the time frame that she was. She still managed to kind of move forward and challenge herself and learn new ways and do these things and be creative and move forward. And sometimes, like someone said, some of the best art comes from when the nation is sad or angry. So I guess we're gonna see. I've been working on something. I'll show you at the end of this. For those who wish to see my new painting. And it's going to be really great. Like, it's a really good painting. It's really beautiful. I am thoroughly happy with how it went. I think in a lot of ways, I feel bad for the subject matter because it's very truthful and it's hurtful. But it's drawing attention to that hurt. And I hope the more eyes I can bring towards how the people being affected by it, because they're just people. Hope from that, maybe the rest of you will join the cause. You know, I've been looking into all these kind of writings and political spectrums and everything, trying to figure out where next I stand in this inevitable clash. I've been reading books, I've been talking to people. Sadly, I'm bombarded with busyness that is not art, and so it is difficult to kind of focus to the fullest extent that I'd like to. But I'm going to. When the move is done, I'm going to have a much smaller studio than what I have now. It'll probably be a little bit the size of this set right here. And I do not know. I legitimately do not know even what this show will look like. Specifically. My hope is that I can kind of figure all this out in some way. But as my father-in-law said to me yesterday, we just need to get in there first, and then we can figure out the details after that. It's not an exact, specific direction, so to speak. And that's hard. It's very hard, actually. The unknown is kind of one of those things that, like, all these great writers have written about. The unpredictable futures and cultures and likes and loves and angers and hates and all these things. They're all kind of swimming in our brains. And I don't know. I don't know what to... I don't know the right thing to tell people right now who are afraid. Other than to say, I stand with you. I think you have this amazing part of you that I will champion forever. And there are tons of people who are homophobic, and they're racist, and they're sexist, and they're all these things. And they are going to try and stand in your way. Because they misunderstand your success as their failures. It's a big world. We can all succeed without pushing someone else down. I am a great painter for a very long time, and that doesn't take away from anyone else being a great painter for a short or for a long time. I think there are too many people who have this idea that we're all in some type of competition, that we can't all kind of be amazing in parallel together, if not together. I feel like a victory that is a failure for someone else might not really be a victory you want. But who knows, maybe you love that. Maybe you think that's the greatest thing in the whole world. Maybe that's who you are. But I hope you're not. I hope you are able to look into the skyline and see your future. And in that, nothing negative is developed or coming from that. It's just what you want and how you're trying to see yourself and your victories. I think that's all you can really ask for, you know? So, I'm going to show you this painting now. Extreme facial pain. The face. I want to show you my new painting that I just finished. I think I finished it. I might be wrong. I may not have finished it. But I feel like I finished it. So, let us work. What the hell? Oh, there we go. Let us work on this very thing so I can show you what I've been up to. Get real close in on my beard. Look at my throat and my neck. I know that's what you came here for. Some good neck action. Yes, I mean it that way. And I'll show you this painting I've been working on. I think it's really beautiful. And I think you should like it also. Ta-da! It's gold leaf right here. This is the story of how I feel when I think of the people of Gaza. I think it's a struggle of love and sadness. The crows are taking the fallen and bringing them to peace. I wrote down the name of this painting because I forgot what it was so many times over. I'm not really great about naming paintings. I never really have been. This name of this painting is Only Love Can Save Us. I don't know if anybody will ever see this painting outside of the studio. It's kind of the downside of making things that are not necessarily popular as far as streaming sites go. It's not even that I think people are against what it's about. I just know that algorithms are very anti-Gaza, and they do what they do. They shadow ban, they do all types of stuff. And that might happen to me. It might happen. I may never see another view ever again after all this stuff. But I think you have to stand up for people, and you should never stand up for anyone being killed. I feel bad for the people of Israel. I feel bad for the people of Gaza. I feel bad for us in America. I feel bad for people in Congo. I feel bad for the people in Venezuela. I think we have to understand that we're about to go through some hard shit, and we need to stand together. So I will be here with this channel. I hope that you join me as we have breakfast and we make art and we do all these things, because you are the pulse of a revolution. And that can be a revolution of love, that can be a revolution of anger, that can be a revolution of time. But you will have to figure that out as we go along. Love you much, Galeras. Thank you for joining me. We'll talk to you later. Painter out.